Music Bed.
General Milling Corporation, or GMC, is one of the biggest integrated food companies in the Philippines. The company was founded by Don Tirso Uytengsu in 1958 with the incorporation of GMC in the Securities and Exchange Commission. The construction of GMC's first facility, a flour milling plant in Lapu-Lapu City, started in 1959. The first commercially produced flour rolled off its packing lines in 1961. Since the start of operations in 1961, GMC has grown to add a feed mill, a cornstarch line, a hatchery, a snack foods line, an instant noodle line, a yeast plant, a pasta line, a milk line, and a soybean milling plant. GMC also expanded its operations across the Philippines with a corn buying station in the city of Jensan, a feed mill in Cagayan de Oro, an integrated plant in Pasig, a soybean milling plant in Batangas, and a hatchery in Laguna. GMC also operates storage depots across key cities across the country. In 1998, George K. Young Sr. took over as president and chairman of GMC. The tenure of George K. Young Sr. was marked by the stabilization of the business during the turbulent period of the mid-1990s. Mr. George K. Young was setting the foundation for the assumption of the management role of GMC by the next generation. In the year 2000, George U. Young Jr. took on the role of GMC's president. Under the helm of George U. Young, GMC focused on its core business. The organization was trimmed to maximize on its strength in flour, bakery products, and feed milling. At the same time, investments were made in modernizing these core businesses. The flour mills were upgraded. Flour blending machines were installed. A new feed mill was erected in Cagayan de Oro, and the feed mill in Lapu-Lapu was expanded to serve increasing customer demand. Recognizing the critical role of an efficient logistics infrastructure in the future of the business, investments were made in additional grain storage facilities, the redesign of the existing wharf in Cagayan de Oro, and the extension of the wharf in Lapu-Lapu. To better comply with the increasing customer expectations, the company has also streamlined systems to achieve halal certification, GMP compliance, and is now working for HACCP certification with FSSC certification. GMC also invests in its people. There's a continuous effort to conduct employee training for both hard and soft skills. GMC continues to be a key employer in the city of Lapu-Lapu. GMC believes in providing balance for its employees by holding summer outings, sports activities, and Christmas parties. GMC also gives back to the community. Employees engage in regular tree planting activities, support for schools in the community, and barangay outreach activities. General Milling Corporation has been built on the foundation of quality, innovation, teamwork, and the vision of its founder. We are a company that grew from humble beginnings. We are still humble and thankful. We are a company of people with a personal approach to business. Our customers have become our friends, and our employees have become our family. Our past has prepared us for the future. And if our history is an indication of where we are headed, then working together and succeeding together is our destiny.
We are known for passion in quality products. We are Jet Millers.
Welcome here at Bakers Avenue. This is the third part of our three-part demonstration in partnership with General Milling Corporation. So once again, I'm here, Chef Marvin, teaching a lot of new techniques and new items that you will enjoy at home. So for today, it's all about chocolates. So basically, tanang gusto ninyo may bawan about chocolates, you can ask me through the FB comment section. Anything about chocolate, you can ask me. And also today, we're gonna be recreating the ultimate chocolate dessert. So if you're excited would go. Okay, so let's go back a bit kung unsa itong gibuhat from previous sessions. From the first session, we've done breads, nagwihimo tag baguettes, focaccia, ciabatta, and all those artisan breads, which later for the second part, gigamit na to for the pasta session. So we created our own homemade pasta using GMC's products. So the whole idea here is to showcase to you how good unsa kanindot ang mga products sa General Milling. Me myself over the years, I've always relied to their products in terms of consistency and quality. So kamo pod at home and also professional bakers, you should try. If you have tried, stick into what's working for you. Okay? So para sa pagkakaron, ang atong buhaton again is the ultimate chocolate dessert. So kung mangutana mo na ko, unsa man na chef? So basically, kung atong simple og explain, unom ni siya ka components, 6 components that we will bind together into one dessert. But again, these different components can be served as a dessert itself or a complement to a dessert. So, kabaw ko medyo tricky siya, medyo unsa mo what is he up to? Unsa may buhaton ni chef karon? So we will go down the details. I'll explain to you if you have questions, any clarification na gusto ninyo masulbad in terms of you baking at home. You could ask me. We are live through GMC page. You could message us. You could comment on the comment section for the live video. So you can ask anything. We will help you with your struggles with chocolate. Anything about chocolate, chocolate cakes, how to work with chocolate, different temperature, different kind of chocolates. Name it, we will help you as much as we can. Okay, so shall we start? So again, the ultimate chocolate dessert is composed of a lot of components, as I've said. Ang pinaka main here is a pinaka basic, again, is a chocolate sponge. So we will show on the screen the recipe for the chocolate sponge. This is a chocolate sponge which I've used for a lot of competitions, a lot of important events, and as well as in my cafe and my cake shop. I always use this kind of sponge because it's very versatile. You can use it as a roll, you can use it as a moist sponge. So it's versatile, very basic ingredients, cost-friendly, nindot siya gamiton. Okay? So let's start off. So in the screen, we're showing you recipes for the chocolate sponge. So you have here eggs, sugar, oil, fresh milk, of course, GMC's Baker's Choice baking powder. You have the baking soda, cocoa powder, hot water, swan all-purpose flour. So again, bakers, daghan kayong klase sa chocolate cake recipe, no? You can get from YouTube, you can get from the book, you can get from a friend. But for me, personally, I like this recipe. It's because I don't need any more syrup, any more additional moisture to make it moist. It's just about, for me, it's doing the right procedure in terms of creating a moist chocolate cake. So today I will show you how simple it is and how you could copy this at home. So basically, we'll start off with the eggs. Okay, naatay giandam-daan din mga ingredients, of course. So you see there in the recipe ng kinanglan tag hot water. That one we will prepare ahead of time. Inito na to daan. Okay, so you'll know later unsay gamit sa hot water. Okay, we'll start off with the eggs. Okay. Okay. You have 4 eggs. Then you have the sugar. Okay, tip number 1. When you want your cake to be moist, you don't want to mix, dili nimo sige ukay ang imong mixture from start to finish. You want to particularly retain or dapat naagya po ng sugar granules in terms of creating the mixture. Dapat naagya po ng granules because the sugar granules here is representing for you the moisture. Okay? So, light whisk lang. So, again, this recipe could use the mixer if you want to. But again, as I've said, we want to control the motion of mixing. That's why I recommend this recipe to be created hand mix unless if you're doing, let's say, 20 kilos or by bulk. So, of course, that's impossible already. So, lightly mix. So, ma-mix na ganyan siya, then you stop. Okay, that's simple. Then, next to that, baking powder and baking soda. Most of bakers, they want to mix in together the baking powder and the baking soda to the sifted flour and sift it. For me, personally, I want to mix it when they are recognizably spotted in your mixture. Pasabot, kabaw ko asa akong baking powder and baking soda. These are also already sifted. Ako ibutang daan din ha para makita na kog na mix ba na kog tarong. Kaya og ako siyang isagol sa akong flour, they are of the same appearance. Di ko kabaw og nag-lump up ba siya, walang sagol sa flour even though I sifted it. In this manner, klaro dyan ako nga wala dyan ko lumps of baking powder and baking soda, which are very crucial in terms of making your cake rise. Okay, so light mixing. Next to that, we will add the liquid ingredients, the milk. This is fresh milk. For the oil, you could use corn oil, canola oil. No worries. Okay, lightly mix once again. So, put in your mind, hunana permi, light mix lang, light mix lang. So once you are done with that, next, as I've told you earlier, we will need hot water. So, para asa ba ng hot water siya? This will help you dissolve the cocoa powder. With a recipe with a lot of cocoa powder in it, you need something to dilute it first. Because if imo siyang isagol diretso sa imong bowl of egg and liquid mixture, you will invite more whisking. As I've said, minus lang ang pag-whisk. So, we will dilute it separately, ma-dissolve sa iyaha lang. So, minus ang pag-whisk na dito sa main mixture. So, okay? So, we'll drop in here the hot water into my bowl. Then, cocoa powder. Just, you can use the same whisk. Then gradually add the cocoa powder. So for the cocoa powder, I'm using here an alkalized cocoa powder. So make sure you always use the alkalized. Through the alkalization, you are making sure that the cocoa powder is of best quality and of the best flavor available. You can maximize the flavor of the cocoa and the aroma. Okay, so here we have two different mixtures. This one's a bit hot, this one's lukewarm, room temp. So what we're gonna do next here is to temper both the mixtures. I will get at least 1/4 of this mixture. Isagol na ko dinhi para muna ako ang temperature before na ko isagol ang duha. So tempering is a technique which allows you to gradually mix two different temperatures at the same time. This is applicable to sauces. What you call this one, even for chocolates. So this idea can be applied in terms of lowering the temperature gradually. So here, so this is the one, at least 1/4. Then I will add the cocoa mixture into the main batter. Okay, so we have everything in except for the all-purpose flour. So you make sure your all-purpose flour is sifted. So you see, The all-purpose flour here is from GMC, the Swan brand. It's very good to use. It's very, what you call this one, proven and tested in terms of quality. Okay, now we have a received message question. Okay, can we use brown sugar instead of white sugar, and what is the effect? Okay, technically these are two different sugars. Their main difference is, of course, the intensity of sweetness and the color and the process of where it is extracted. You could use the brown sugar, of course. It has the same moisture, although the color could change for the brown sugar, especially when you are making sponges. No problem for the chocolate cake. The moisture is there, although the sweetness could lower down a bit. But if you're working with a white sponge and if you're replacing it with brown sugar, there you can see the residue for the dark color of the brown sugar reflects into your overall batter. But in terms of this chocolate cake, you could use the brown sugar. There are also chocolate cake recipes which omits the sugar, walay sugar. Gamit sa artificial sugar, you could use the fake sugar. But again, the sugar here represents moisture. So if you take sugar, dili siya moist. But to answer the question, yes, you could use the brown sugar, and the difference is the color and the intensity of sweetness. Okay, I hope I have answered your question. So again, you could drop all your questions here. I'll try to answer them as much of my knowledge helps me. Okay, so I'm going to drop also gradually the all-purpose flour, slowly incorporating it. Okay, so what you're doing here now is we're mixing everything together. Make sure there are no lumps. Again, we have mixed already ahead ang atong baking soda of baking powder. So no worries in terms of affected rise of the dough or of the batter. So wala kayo tayo problema ana. So when you mix the cake, as I've said, mix it very lightly. Gamay lang nga mix. You could see that napay mga gamay nga lumps. Let it rest for a little while, around 2 to 3 minutes, and whisk it again before it becomes ready. So while that is resting, atong buhaton we will prepare our tray. For this case, I'm using a tray around 13.5 by 9.5, but depending on what tray that you have here, atong tanawon is kabag-on sa ato ang chocolate sponge. But again, pwede po na to gamiton ng ring na molds, no? Pwede na to gamiton ng 8 inches, 7, ika-assemble lang na to, ato lang siyang i-layer. Okay? So for this case, atong gamiton ang rectangular tray. I will pour at least 500 grams of mixture sa atohang tray. So, okay. Dayon, before baking, of course, you want to preheat your oven. So our ovens are preheated at 170 degrees. For bakers na nagamit o gas oven nga stove top, usually La Germania or whatever brand, mostly you have to adjust. This recipe, for this purpose, ang akong chocolate cake, gibake na ko at a lower temperature. Why man siya? Di ba na mabagsak? Makasaka ba na siya? So there's a reason why. Akong reason is, I don't want to let it rise too much because this is a layered cake. Okay, gusto na ko flat siya as much as possible. Dili siya na-abrupt nga nagbunto ng porma, burot diri, burot dito, gusto na ko flat. So you get that by lowering the temperature a bit. Okay, so tip na ninyo ko in kaso gusto mo magporma og cake nga layered, you bake in a tray, ipatong-patong ninyo, that way makuha ninyo ang flat nga surface, lowering down to at least around 150, 155. Okay? So again, manag-rest atong mixture. We'll whisk it again very lightly. Gamay lang yun. Then, so if you want to feel the texture or katong akong ingon nga granules, I can still feel napay mga sugar, no? Kaya again, it's because of the concerned nga pag-whisk sa atong mixture, wala na to gi-overmix. Okay? So after this one, ato nang butangan ang atong tray. So around 500 grams. So gamay ra jud, pisraman atong kinahanglan. Okay. So mga tanong mo chef, pila may usually ginabutang mixture sa kanang 8 inches, 8 by 3. Kung maghimo kag cake nga 8 by 3, pila man akong mixture ang kinahanglan na. Okay, depende na sa imong sa imong mixture. Kung high rising ba imong mixture, depende sa mix, but basically around 1.2 to 1.3 kilograms of cake mixture may imong magamit. Okay? So, okay, natay question. Pwede ba gamiton baking powder lang, tanan, if without baking soda? Yes, of course. Let me explain to you. Okay, the baking soda and baking powder are both leavening agents. Sila ay magpatubo sa imong cake. So in this case, kung wala kay baking powder, okay lang siya. Baking soda is actually stronger than the baking powder. So kung inyong buhaton is that you will, for example, na kay 10 grams of, for this recipe you have 4 grams of baking soda. You will just multiply it by 1.5. Okay? Then mo na imong baking powder nga gamiton. Okay? So the intensity of the baking soda is 3 times the compared to the baking powder. So ang kaning baking powder only requires liquid to rise. For the baking soda, it requires at least an acid together the liquid for it to rise. So to answer the question, pwede ba baking powder? Yes, but the tendency is your cake will be much more softer compared to the ones with the baking soda. Maura, okay? So once your oven is preheated, so inanay lang kanipis, this will rise to my liking, depende sa akong buhaton. So we will bake this for around, if you're baking at home, around 20 to 25. Our oven here are much stronger, around 15 to 18 minutes. So depende sa oven nga inyong gamiton ha. So you use the standard technique of checking or whatever technique you are comfortable with checking the cake. Okay, so we'll put this in the oven. There. So while that is baking, we will prepare the rest of the ingredients. Like this aircon. Okay. So now we're done with the chocolate cake. We will proceed to the next component, which is the chocolate ganache. Okay, so what is a chocolate ganache, chef? Basically, it's a mixture of chocolate and cream. So some of you have different techniques in terms of making a chocolate ganache. A chocolate ganache have different variations as well. If you want to make a soft ganache, depending on what use, no, unsay gamitan nimo sa imong ganache, pwede pang filling, frosting, piping, garnish. So lahi og gamit, lahi og consistency. Okay, for this recipe, we are using a slightly strong ganache with a lot of at least 75% of chocolate compared to the cream. Okay. For this case, ang usually mga bakers, ang sagad available ng mga chocolate is kaning compound chocolate, no? So although for us nindot na niyang kaning compound chocolate, but we have more options in terms of chocolate and its chocolate flavor. I would strongly recommend, if you want a rich flavor, to use couverture or the Belgian chocolate. In that case, it has more flavor, it has more variation, it has more options in terms of intensity of flavor. But again, this works. So this is a chocolate with 32% cocoa butter. And when you say cocoa butter, it is the fat in the chocolate which provides flavor and stability to the chocolate. Okay. So to start with the chocolate ganache, my technique is to heat up the cream, and after that you pour in the chocolate into the bowl. Okay. So we're just heating up. So inito na nato ang atong cream, dayon ibutang nato sa saucepan ang ato ang chocolate. Ang uban, ang ilang technique, inito na ang chocolate, lanayon ng chocolate, inito ng cream, isagol. Pwede po na, but depending on the temperature, depending on the chocolate, the risks are high. Ang uban, magboil sa chocolate into this bowl, dari ibutang. But for me, I'd like to work with the pot which is hot, which helps me melt the chocolate faster. Okay? So, mora na siya. Very simple, very straight to the point. Nganong, diri na ko ibutang ang akong chocolate dito sa bowl and not to the bowl and not diri ang chocolate nga dili init. Okay? So, that explanation is much more simple for me. Okay? So if ever you have questions in terms of your difficulties, no, sa inyong paghimog cake, especially working with ganache, hit us a message, comment down the comment section kung sa inyong mga kalisdanan in terms of baking, because baking is very, very broad and very, what you call this one, komplikado kayo no nga art. It takes a lot of time, practice, a lot of errors to finally create a good recipe. Okay? So do not also wait for your cream nga magtibugol na pod, no? And also use a cream which has a less stabilizer, kanang dili kayo dali magtibugol, no? So when the cream starts to simmer, you can add in the chocolates. Okay? Then you can turn off the fire. It's important. Turn off the fire. Okay. Chef, pwede ba na ako gamitan ng whisk? Yes, of course, you can. Pwede whisk, spatula, but again, the whisk invites air as you whisk it. No, as you create the motion, it invites air inside the ganache. At this point, we don't want any air. What I like to do, especially when I'm creating a lot of ganache at one batch, I use the stick blender to make sure everything is melted, well incorporated. Mas haglog yun tanan. Okay, so you just wait for your ganache to be silky smooth. So you see, very dark, very rich. Again, depending on your usage or sa inyong gamitan, the ganache, you can add cream, you can add more chocolate. If you want a softer ganache, you can add more cream. Okay, so this is it. We will set aside our ganache to a separate bowl. Let it set. Okay, again, we have a question from our audience. Thank you for standing by with us. So what is the brand you're using? Can we say the brand? For this demo, we're using the Master Gourmet brand, which I preferably use because it is very stable. The stabilizers is just enough. It's very versatile. I can use it for cooking, baking. I can whip it. When I whip it, it's not falls that fast. So this is very good for me, especially when I do bulk production. So this brand is good for you. You can see this in most of the baking stores and some distributors here in Cebu. Again, there's another question here. Pwede ba ko magamit o evaporated milk for ganache? I think here's to explain this one. Chocolate is a component which does not like any liquid water content or content which is not dairy. In this case, some of evaporated milks is mixed with liquid which is not dairy, especially like when I say not dairy, it's like water and not water content, which makes the chocolate split. Dili siya mo combine, dili siya mo blend together. So ang atong buhaton ana is we will use a dairy nga mo blend together with the ganache. No, in this case, evaporated milk is not one of them. Okay? Mostly all-purpose cream. You could use whipping cream even, but for evaporated milk, I think it's a no. Okay? So we have done already the chocolate ganache. So again, we have done already two components of the dessert. So next thing we'll create is the creme brulee. Okay. So what is a creme brulee? So creme brulee is from the word cream, and brulee means torched or burned. Okay. So technically it is a dessert which has a lot of variations, a lot of adaptations along the years, and it has been, although you don't see that much at some of the shops, but you can see this at 5-star restaurants, some high-end restaurants being served in ramekins. So may I show this one? So the twist that we're creating here, instead of serving this into a ramekin dish, we will serve, or we will put this one inside of a cake. Okay? So it may sound very interesting and very difficult to imagine, but we will do the impossible possible. So there's just a little bit of twist that we will be creating. So very simple ingredients, as you see. Can we flash on the screen the ingredients for the creme brulee? So you have here egg yolks, cream, chocolate ganache, which I made earlier. We have the white tower cornstarch and white sugar. For this recipe, I will need to heat up the cream. So again, I will need the one of the fry pans to heat up the cream. Oh, here are some of the ingredients that I have. Okay, so we have here cream, same brand. Okay, di na nato balik-balikon. Okay, free naman ang advertisement sa brand. But again, I'm very honest with you in terms of the brand that I'm using. Not only for this demonstration, but in terms of working on a daily basis and in our business, I use that. So I'll pour the cream here. So the instruction says just warm up. Dili na to lutoon, okay? Dili na to initon og maayo. Just warm up enough nga makadilute ta sa, makadissolve ta sa sugar. Okay, we have sugar here and the egg yolk. So in a separate bowl, you will mix the sugar and the egg yolks. So for some viewers, dili ta magbuhat og sabayon. Ang sabayon is cooking egg yolk and sugar, whipping it into a certain temperature around 82 degrees Celsius, but we're not doing that. We're just mixing it to make it more workable, okay? Easy to temper. Okay, so make sure your egg yolks are always fresh. So whisk it lightly. Again, no need to whisk it very fast and incorporate air. We don't need any air. So when you're using the whisk, always put in mind you're inviting air to come into your bowl. Okay, for this case, we don't want any of that. Okay, so always check if your cream warms up, then you turn off the heat. Okay, there you go. So what's next is the 100 grams of chocolate ganache. Okay. So you always have standby here, weighing scale, automatic. Okay, so pour in the chocolate ganache into your cream. So this helps them blend together perfectly. Okay. Okay, you take it off the heat. There you go. So what's left in the mixture is the amount of cream that I left and the cornstarch. So this one I will dilute them together para dali na ko siya ma-mix into the creme brulee. So this is the twist I'm talking about. This the cornstarch stabilizes the whole mixture, making it more workable. Okay. So dilute the cornstarch in the cream. Add more mixture. Okay, so atong technique na kung itudlo niya ganiha in terms of tempering two different texture or different temperatures, I mean, buhaton gyud po na natakaron. So kani medyo warm, this one is completely cold and it has eggs. So make sure na careful ka ng eggs. It's because if you, of course, if you heat too much the eggs, you don't want to have any omelette, okay? Then we'll mix the cornstarch mixture into the, whisk it lightly lang. It's normal nga napay gagmay nga lumps because we're mixing it with cream. Later mawala na siya ka-bake. Then we will temper both of the mixtures. Okay, take 1/4. Mix. Okay, it's always very important to temper. Ayaw idiritsog butang ang hot mixture or warm mixture sa eggs. Kaya maluto ang eggs. Dayon, back to the main mixture. Okay, in this case, next I will use a strainer to strain all of the components together. Make sure they're blended. Okay, so basically here, now you have the creme brulee mixture. So what we're straining here are some of the excess from the cornstarch, some egg solids. Make sure your creme brulee is completely smooth. Okay, now we have another question. Okay, when you temper chocolate, is there a specific temperature to achieve? Would you need a candy thermometer? Okay, this is a nice question. Okay, so different chocolates has different characteristics. You have white chocolate, you have milk chocolate, you have dark chocolate. Apart from that, you have the couverture, you have the compound. So when you say the chocolate, it's a broad topic. But to answer this question specifically, I myself, a chocolatier, always temper chocolate whenever I use it. I don't use untempered chocolate. So the temperature for chocolate, melting temperature for dark chocolate is around 37 up to 39, depending on the chocolate. No? It could rise up to 42, okay, per degrees Celsius. What I use to check, I use sometimes a laser thermometer, any internal thermometer, laser. But for the candy, it serves a different purpose. You could use it for sugar, you could use it for oil, but for chocolate, I don't think it is recommendable or efficient for chocolate. So for me, I use the laser thermometer with the thermo gun, which is more accurate in terms of getting the temperature. So again, different kinds of chocolate. So the highest melting temperature is the dark chocolate. Next to it is the milk chocolate, and pinakadali malana is the white chocolate. Okay, so for the working temperature, katotong gisgutan ganiha is the melting temperature. Di ka pwede malapas ato nga frame. Di pwede nga inito ni mo mayo ang chocolate. Kay if you have noticed, inyong dark chocolate kung nakabantay mo magputi-puti, mag-bloom, ang bloom atong tawagan na kana magputi-puti, it's because you have overheated the chocolate, lapas sa iyang melting point. But when you have a shiny chocolate, which I will show you later, of course, I've made some garnishes. Kung sinaw gani ang chocolate, that means you have used the chocolate at the right temperature. It's more workable. It's easy to handle. So to answer the question specifically, you need a thermometer. Yes. If wala, what do you use? I have my own technique. I use the parts of the body. I've learned this in the Chocolate Academy of Singapore on how to check the temperature of the chocolate using your body parts. It's just at this time, it's not hygienic that much. No, dili kay sa inana ka in terms of the COVID protocols, but you get the part of chocolate. For example, this chocolate I've melted earlier. I use the thinnest part of skin in my body, which happens to be under your lips here. So you put it here. If you don't feel any heat from the chocolate, it means it's around 30 to 31, 32. Naraan na nga temperature. It means there's no heat in the chocolate. Your chocolate is very well ready for usage. Pero ayun lang po nang init kayo inyong ibutang dire kay bawo mo nga init paso jud mo. Okay, so this technique is applicable for this one for trial and error, of course. So at least again, our commentators will tell us if gikan sa pot, syempre init jud na. So kung wala tay candy thermometer, that's a technique I use, no? But the years have passed. I work with chocolate. Sometimes chocolate will tell me I'm okay, I'm ready to use, no? Sa kadugay nimong gamit, mura na ka og kana connected with the chocolate. Okay? So, thank you for that question. So, again, our creme brulee mixture is here ready already. So, what I will do next is put it into the molds. I will use a ramekin mold, the traditional one, but for our showcase today, I'll also show you how to use it if you want to layer it into the what you call this one? Layer it into the cake, the ultimate chocolate dessert. So I'm using a 6-inch ring here, which I will put lard in the sides. Put aluminum foil, so this will help you seal the mixture into the inside. And also before that, when you bake this one, you want your oven to be preheated at least 145 for a stove top. For a convection oven, around 140 degrees Celsius. So make sure it's locked in, secured. Okay, we will transfer the mixture into a bowl. Well, I mean a measuring cup. Okay, for those who wish to buy the ingredients nga atong gigamit for this demonstration, they are always available sa atong mga partners. These are available in New Goodly Mercantile in Cebu, Ong King King Baking Depot, Alpa Arcade in Lapu-Lapu City. Also in Davao, these are available. Our GMC products are available as well. We have in Lucky Roma Trading, Bake World, Baker's Basket, and Mabuhay LCL in Davao. So, kaning tanang ingredients makuha ra jud ninyo very easily. And these come in kind of very convenient packaging already. Dili na necessary mo palit mong sinako or katong repack sa merkado. These are easy to use, easy to seal again. So, very, very nice packaging. So, you will start off putting some mixture on the regular creme brulee. So, himabaw lang atong ibutang. Okay. So, you ask me, asa ni na to pwede i-serve, chef, yung imong mga gipangbuhat na brulee. So, these are categorized in the glass desserts. So, pwede nimo siya sa in the end of your dessert, you have an iced area. Dito imong ibutang imong mga panna cotta, imong mga glass mousse, imong brulee. Okay? Nanong itawag mo nag-brulee siya, pa mo na mapagod. Lutuon sa dato. Ato sang lutuon before i-torch, no? To explain to you. So, for this one, akong timbangon to make nganong timbangon man ako ang akong layered nga brulee. To make sure that the layer is uniform every time I do it. Di na ko banabanaon, di na ko matamatahon. To have a consistent layer, timbangon na to siya. Okay? In this case, around 220 grams. There you go. Okay? So what I do next here is I'll need a bowl of water. I'll put it in the tray to cook the brulee steam bake. So when you say steam bake, there's a layer of water, just enough surfacing under the mold of your tray, or in this case, the ramekin dishes. So once your oven is preheated already, you can put this one. The ramekins, they bake at around 45 to 50 minutes. No? How to check if it's cooked? So, ang ramekin, imo lang i-shake. At this point, of course, it's liquid pa man gyud. So, ang imong timailhan og maluto na siya, ika-shake nimo, dili na siya wiggly. No, it's a firm. If there's a shake, it's a firm shake nga usa siya, dili siya watery or something. Same thing for the small one. So, I'll bake this one now. So, the temperature of a brulee is very low. It's close to a flan, a custard, low temperature. Okay. Isa ko hindi na malipat sila. Hindi na bakit. Okay. So while that's baking, of course, this is a 2-hour demonstration. Of course, nag-andam na pod ko og final product to assemble. But after that baking, mapabugnaw nimo siya, you put in the freezer katong gilayer nga 220 grams. The ramekin, you can just chill. Okay, so for the ingredients, if you want to look for these ingredients, this GMC brand, you can also get them in Bacolod. They are available in Bacolod with Nona Trading, New Hope Commercial. You also have in Great Crown Distribution, Baking Buddies, and Happy Baker, all in Bacolod. So our GMC brand is available almost nationwide, no? Very, very accessible. In terms of quality, wala tayo question, ana. Okay? So again, if you have other questions about the creme brulee, of how to twist it, how to make it more interesting, you can drop a comment or a question in the comment section, or you can send us a direct message through Facebook. So next, what we'll do, the next component, is the chocolate mousse. In this case, we will be using the mixer now. Okay? So this is the mixer that we will be using because we will be whipping some cream. Okay. So can we flash on the screen atong recipe no para sa atong chocolate mousse? So you have gelatin, cold water, whipping cream, and chocolate ganache. Very basic chocolate mousse. Also, there's a lot of kinds of chocolate mousse na ay meringue based, na ay based with sabayon. For this case, we are creating a mousse which is fit for temperature, which is a mousse we can set up for a dessert buffet. You can slice the mousse and serve it in functions, in events. So stable enough siya to hold itself in temperature ng aircon lang. Okay? But for other mousse, they are best served in a cocktail glass or anything na mas carry siya. But for this mousse, it's very stable. So that's why I'm using this kind of mousse over the other kinds of mousse. Okay? So we have the gelatin and a cold water. First to do, mix them together. So I have here cold water, 10 grams. It's around this much. And gelatin. So what is a blooming process? No? This is the process wherein you activate, atong gi-activate ang gelatin, nga ma-maximize na to yung capability nga mo set. Dili ni siya mura og seasoning nga you can just drop and it will effect. Dili na siya inana. You should need a cold liquid to activate it nga dali nimo siya ma-incorporate sa imong main nga product. You can use it for tiramisus, mousse, chilled cheesecakes, a lot of items, jellies, no? So daghan kag pwede gamitan. So depending on the intensity and strength of your gelatin is the hold that you'll get. Okay, so you mix them together. This is cold water. So mix it. So allow it to bloom for at least 10 to 15 minutes. Then you get a consistency like that. Okay? There you go. Next thing is we'll prepare the cream. So for this cream, we will whip this one. into the mixer. If you have hand mixers, pwede rin gyud gyapon ato hand mixers. For this case, we will use this mixer, which is not cooperating. Okay, there we go. Okay, so the cream should at least be from 0 to 5 degrees para ato ma-whip. Any, need some spatulas here. Any temperature higher than that, maglisod kag whip sa imong cream. So dapat bugna gyud siya. Parang tilokon. Okay. So itong saka. Okay. Then first speed. So whip lang. So whipping the cream, dili ang inyong mga whip kay whip lang. So natay 3 stages. We have the soft peak, which I usually use for mousse. We have the medium peak. We also have the stiff peak. The stiff peak, depending on the kind of mousse that you're creating, there are other mousse and confections that requires stiff cream, especially when you're making a chantilly, a whipped ganache. Mo na siya. Ito po kasi gamay. Second speed. Okay, so while we're doing that, we will prepare the ganache na atong i-mix. Okay, so in this case, we will use 400 grams of chocolate ganache. So timbangon na ito na daan. So mag-whip gani mo og kuan, mag-whip gani mo cream, ay good nyo pasagdiin yung cream because very tricky ni ang cream. Kung imong bantayan, dili mo whip, pero imong pasagdan ni split na. It means split ni separate na ang iyang milk solids from the butter. So makabantay mo, magtibugol ang imuhang cream, no? Kay nabiyaan nimo. Chef, unsa pa may laing remedyo ana? Unsa may pwede pa nako mabuhat? Ilabay na ba na nako? Pwede gyapon na siya magamit ang imuhang cream. Imong buhaton, you do the ganache process. Inito na imong cream, butang nimo ang chocolate. That way you can still utilize, but in terms of using it in a mousse, dili na gyud. Wala na kay chance. Okay? So, akong buhaton ani is I will wait for my other components to be finished and ready for assembly before nako ibutang akong mousse into the mold. So you will understand later nganong ipaunya nako ang chocolate mousse. Ako lang siyang ready ang components, but whenever I'm ready to pour, nanadayon siya. Okay? So ato siya pakusugan gamay. So mostly atong mga balay na mga KitchenAid, na katong mga stick blenders lang or kanang mga hand blenders lang or mixers, wala di problema. Ang iyong tanawon ang consistency. You can get the same results with the different kinds of utensils that or tools that you have. Okay? Bantayan na to kay dito gusto mo sayop. May okay. Okay, so here you see, and have a closer look. So, mo ni ang soft peak sa ato ang cream. Tagak siya ikasaka nimo, okay? The soft peak. So, the medium peak, it holds itself, gamay lang, but again, na siya fall. But the stiff peak, katong pinaka hard nga peak, you can see a sharp edge diha sa babaw. So, mo na yung difference niya, okay? So, as I've said earlier, ako din set aside, later na ko na i-mix. At least, my ingredients are all set and ready. So, I'll transfer this in another bowl. Again, in pastry, as I've told you, complex kasi nga art, no? But again, next to that is being organized. You should organize yourself and your work nga smooth ang flow sa imong pagtrabaho, di ka maglabang-labang. So that's why we are very particular in steps and procedures, also in measurements. Okay, so set aside, you have the bloom gelatin, you have the chocolate ganache, and the whipped cream, soft pick. Okay, set aside. So what we'll do next, okay, is the chocolate glaze. So what is the chocolate glaze? So in this recipe, we will use the the saucepan, katong medyo laom. Can we flash in the recipe, please? So we have the gelatin powder, you have the cold water, the white sugar, cocoa, cream, and white tower cornstarch. So, Chef, what is a chocolate glaze? Kung nakita ninyo, mostly trend sa Pinterest, sa Facebook, kani mga sinaw nga mga cakes, no? Dili katong normal. Kani mga cakes is that they are using these glazes. These glazes are based with sugar and gelatin. So, the sugar gives you the shininess, the gelatin helps it set. So, depende sa recipe, the hold of the glaze that you are creating. Okay? Can we check if makaabot ang extension wire? Okay ra? Okay. So, ito na lang. So, what I'll do now is I'll take out all of the ingredients from a chocolate glaze. Oops. Okay. Sugar. But again, you have the gelatin, and you have the cold water. So, what I'll do here, again, is you will bloom the cold water. It's almost and always automatic for any recipes nga na gani gelatin, mangita jud ka unsay liquid nimo nga imong i-bloom sa imong gelatin. Dili pwede nga imong diretsog butang ang gelatin sa imong overall mixture, okay? So for the water, you have 100 grams. And mix lightly. So I need some more spoons here, please. Okay, mix lang lightly. Nga mabasa tanang powder. Okay, let it set for a while. Then we will prepare the other ingredients. You have the water, sugar, yeah. Okay, give it a little mix. So we will boil the water and the sugar. Boil, hard boil jud. And while we're doing that, we have the cocoa powder. Again, this is alkalized cocoa powder. We will mix in here the cornstarch. Okay. Okay. So, magamit tag whisk, magamit ta og kani nga tool, a stick blender. Okay? For this recipe to emulsify everything. Okay? So, open na to tanan. Okay, sometimes nagpaabot ko sa akong kuan, sa akong water and sugar nga mag-boil. Basig na mo yung mga questions diha. You throw it in. Okay, so, unsay lain gamitan sa glaze? You could use it, because it has gelatin, usually you mix it with whipping cream to make a chantilly, or instant chantilly. Pwede na ko siya i-pipe sa mga cakes, which I will show you later. Other than that, pwede na mo siya i-glaze sa mga layered cakes. Pwede mo siya top nga glaze. But mostly, these are used for mousse cakes, kasagaran. Kasagaran lang. Not exclusively, but mostly used for glazed cakes. So what kind of boil here are we talking about or looking for? We are looking for a boil nga wala na siya sugar granules. That's the most important thing. Okay? Okay, since I'm working here with a cold temperature, no, I want to heat my ganache katong ganiha akong gi-prepare para ready gyapon siya to mix. No, it's not part of the recipe, but it's a trick to utilize the area, the energy that you're using. Kaya nagpabukal naman ka diha. It's like doing a bain marie. So maura siya gyapon. So nakatipid na ka diri. Samtang nagbukal dia sa ilaw, napo ko gibuhat diri sa baba. Because you want your chocolate ganache to be runny when you add this one into your in your fold together the cream and the ganache. Okay? So let's take a peek. Okay, there we go. So kita na to nang nibukal na siya. Atong iunog balik, hinayan na to ang kayo. So when you're dropping, so what comes next is the cocoa powder and the what you call this one, cream, all together. And also the cornstarch. Okay. Then, pag mo na ko ang kayo, I'll have time to whisk it properly. Now, while I'm doing this one, I will microwave or melt the gelatin mixture. You can add it here, but again, I don't like to incorporate too much whisking. Kay magbubuha itong glaze, so that's why I want my glaze just to be the right texture and consistency. Ako lang nang i-microwave ang atong gelatin. Now, can you transfer this to a measuring bowl, a cup? This one. So, microwave, igo lang siya ma-resolve. Then, ito na siyang kuhaon sa kayo ang atuang mixture in the saucepan. So, chef, nagdahan pa mga nag-lumps. Makuha ka na nimo. Sure kasi mga ibo. Oh. So, we will wait. No, you will wait lang later atong makita nga mo smoothen tanan mixture when it's mixed all together. Okay? So, ang kulang na to ani siyang gelatin. So, I'll take out the whisk. I'll switch into a spatula. They have more spatulas here. Okay? So, I'll switch into a spatula para ma-mix na tong tarong ang mixture later. Okay, using the microwave, unsay mga gamit nga dili pwede sa microwave? Of course, things with steel, aluminum, no? Bisag kanang foil dili na pwede. Okay? So be very careful using those elements. So here we have ang atong gelatin na dissolved na, okay? So from here, we will add this one to the mixture. So gelatin again helps your glaze set mo yung kag-set, mo gahi, mo firm, mo kaging or mo hold by itself. Okay? So now diri na mo suda to ang stick blender. Okay? I'll need more space. Tara, so sa pagkakaroon inani ang iyang porma, okay? Murag di katuuhan og sakto ba ning gibuhat ni chef. Pero karon ato ning stick blend. Okay? So, makita ra sa screen na to, atong stick blender. Okay ra? Okay, medyo layo. So, use the first speed. So, what it does, it blends all together the items na mo smoothen out siya. Later, I'll need more ice para ito na i-cool down. So basically, this is the fifth component of the ultimate dessert. Okay, kana sa mga stop if wala na kayo makita ng mga lumps from the cocoa, then you stop. Okay. The next, so na siya bubbles gamay. So what we'll do with that to take out the bubbles is we will strain. So I need the strainer here, na separate bowl. Okay, kana na to straight, dili pwede nga kabuwa ang atong glaze. Okay? Okay ra. Okay, so we will strain to take out all of the lumps, but very minimal na lang yun ang lumps ani kay ato namang stick blender. Compared to the blender nga regular, no, the stick blender focuses on a certain portion of your if your mixture. Dili siya mo overmix, dili pud siya sobrahan ka moalsa, mobuwa og maayo. Okay? Okay, how do you store this one? Can we have a cling wrap here? I want you to see nga naa pa siya gamay nga mga buwa. Okay? So when you want to store this one, I suggest is that atong use nga nga technique. I will let the cling film touch the surface of the glaze. Nga naman, chef. In this way, all of the air bubbles that surface from the top, when you take off, umabugnaw na itong glaze or maset na, maapil sa katangtang. Okay? Now, we have a question here. Chef, kung walay stick blender, unsay laing alternative? Okay. So, kung wala tay stick blender, atong buhaton, okay, usually, kanis siya, nabuhat na ko ni siya nga walay stick blender. Ang iyan yung buhaton is to whisk it well and strain it at least twice. Okay? Ang crucial part ini is that the quality of your cocoa. If you're using a brand of cocoa, nindot nga brand sa cocoa. And also, himong process. If you don't overcook it, nga sobraan na to ka boil, no? Dayon, imo lang yun siyang strain at least twice. If you have to do it again, strain it again para mawa tong lumps. But again, ang makuha to niya mga excess nga cocoa but the gelatin, if it's melted very well, magpabilin to sa mixture and you'll still have the same product as what I have now. Okay? So this one we will let it rest, let it set. Okay. So we will go through so unsa tong ipang buhat ganiha to see where we're at. So basically, we've done the chocolate sponge cake. That's number 1. We made the chocolate ganache. Number 2, the creme brulee. That's number 3. We've made or prepped for the chocolate mousse. That's number 4. We have the chocolate glaze. That's number 5. So what's missing in the component is the chocolate crunch. So that's what we will make now. Okay. But before that, let's create the garnish niya. Kinanglan na to at least to dry out. So this garnish is mostly used for dry purposes. What do I mean dry purposes or dry setting? Example, beach wedding. You serve dessert, you can serve this one. Dili niya siya malanay. But if you put this in the chiller, medyo kuan siya, medyo biklonon siya. So I'm talking about here a coral twill. When you say a coral twill, it's a mixture of flour, oil, water, and the coloring of your choice. Okay? So what I will need here is a fry pan. What you call this one? A non-stick pan. Mas maayo og flat ang yang surface, mas nindot siya. Okay? Because this is where the coral twill will sit and cook. Okay, so are we ready to mix the coral twill? Magsugod na ta. So we'll start off with the liquid ingredients. So basically dump all of the ingredients into one bowl. Sagol na tanan. Okay. If you're not too familiar with the coral twill, you'll have more idea when you see it. So again, we were using here the all-swan all-purpose flour. Of course, this is sifted. So when you're setting up for a dessert buffet, for example, na kay client magpa-serve na buffet, you should also try to assess na asa akong set up. Okay? So while doing that, we will turn on the heat. So kinahanglan tagamay oil dirit just to grease up the pan. Asa na pa mo siguro ito yung oil? Akong bowl. So after this one, we will go straight to the assembly. Okay? So a little bit of oil. Let's quicken things up para makapakita po ko ninyo og mga chocolate nga mga kuan. Can we melt this one here? Pwede pa? You have separate location. We can melt the chocolate. Okay. It's not reading. Can we use a separate pan, please? Ana. Thank you. So while we're heating that up, okay. Dahil ang atong coloring, depende sa gusto ninyo nga kuan, pwede na to gamito ng laylay nga colors. Okay, depende sa density. Okay, again, our ingredients, very available nationwide, especially tong Davao, nata sa Cebu, and Bacolod. We have, in Bacolod, we have again, the Bacolod La Winona Trading, New Hope Commercial. We have in Great Crown Distribution, Baking Buddies, Happy Baker in Bacolod. In Cebu, of course, you have New Goodly Mercantile, no, nata diha, Ong King, Alpa Arcade, in Lapu-Lapu City, and if you're in Davao, you can get them in Lucky Roma Trading, Bake World, Baker's Basket, and Mabuhay LCL. So, very convenient. Okay, so we will assess the pan. So once your pan is hot, we'll pour the mixture using a tablespoon to the sides. Around 3 tablespoons lang. And cook it from there. Okay, to the other side, we will cook more. So inani paghimo ang coral twill. So what evaporates here is the water and the rest of the liquid ingredients, okay? So if you want to shape it in a round shape, pwede nimo siya gamiton, pwede nimo siya i-cut, okay? So when ma-action na siya burst, pwede nimo hinayan ang kayo. So we will just cook a few batches for garnish. Okay na siya. Okay. And we have more oil here, please. So next to this, mag-assemble na ta. Okay. Paluto ka ni chef, diha chef sa fried manual pan. Okay. So may tabuan niya, magsige ka hurot ang iyang evaporate ang iyang liquid, mapabili na lang ang iyang starch, magpurma-purma siya og corals. Okay, I have a question here. Is the coral twill stable at a room temperature? No chiller. Yes, as I've said earlier, nindot ni siya gamiton on alfresco areas or kanang outside venues. Nindot siya gamiton gid siya dali malanay in term compared to chocolate if you're using it as a garnish. Ang iya pong kontra is moisture. Di pud na mo siya pwede store og chiller dugay. Ayo. Imong baton chef kay batch nimo siya. Painito nimo ang pandaan. Kay init. Ibutang nimo tulo ka kutsara ra. Okay? Yon, inuil lang palihog chef. Okay, so ato siyang i-set aside until mo dry out siya sa pan, but you can see here Nakita niyo mo siya, mga lift niyo mo siya. Okay? Okay? So we'll let this dry on the side. Painita gid siya, pinamo-sizzle gid siya. Imong buhaton nimo siya nang limpyuhan, then magbalik. Okay, so now we will go through the assembly. So palihog ko sa mga ingredients nga atong i-prepare for the assembly. And also our chocolate mousse. So mo na lang ni nagkuwang na to atong chocolate mousse. Okay? Okay. So, let's turn to the page nga sa assembly, direta sa assembly. So, basically, we're taking all of the ingredients nga atong giandam ganiha, putting them all together into one dessert. Okay? So, but before that, we need to also do the chocolate crunch for a while. So chocolate crunch, mo ni ang imong component sa imong atong dessert na nasa crunchy texture. So namatay soft with the ganache, naputay a bit of also softness from the brulee, natay spongy texture with the sponge. This one presents the crunchy or a little bit of interesting texture into your. So how to do this? What we'll need is a 6-inch, again, 6 inches nga kuan, nga molder. You will get the foil. Nga ato gyapon siyang lainan ng foil sa ubos. Can we have some cake boards, please? Okay. 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 So here atong i-line sa cake board para na siya i-support. Then here in the recipe you see cocoa butter. What is cocoa butter? As I've told you earlier, mao ni siya ang protein sa atohang chocolate. So unsa may gamit aning cocoa butter sa ning recipe? This will loosen up the chocolate para di kay gahi imong chocolate, but again, muset gihapon siya. Okay. So while we're doing that, we'll also prepare our mousse over here. Okay? So kinahanglan nato atong mousse ato po ni siyang i-regenerate balik, okay? So ganiya, nag-prepare na kog chocolate crunch ako but I will show you later how to do it. This is a chocolate crunch. This is the creme brulee nga atong gipaset, atong gi-freeze. Okay, what's next to this is a chocolate sponge. Ako pong ipakita ninyo ang chocolate sponge. So, dili na tapadong sa assembly good. Okay. So set aside itong sponge. So at this point, we are working with a lot of components at the same time. Kaya padung naman ta mag-assembly. So ikaw man ning crunch, padung na punta sa atong chocolate mousse ag sa Okay. So katong chocolate nga atong gimelt, isago lang to nato siya. Okay. Then atong cornflakes, ato ra song i-crush, then atong isagol diri sa mixture. Okay? So crush cornflakes. Kung gusto na kong manual lang, ayaw na lang i-food processor para di mabungkag. Okay? Agol. Dayon, may fold. That's simple. So Kaning crunch, kung imo na siyang ipaset by itself, pwede na siya ma-serve at kids party. So, earlier, we were working with the chocolate crunch. So, mixed together here is the cocoa butter. Or if you want to add a paste, a hazelnut paste, almond paste, pwede good yapon to enhance the flavor. In this case, this is all good. So, put it in a mold. Okay. Dayon, atong i-spread. Make it flat and give it a tap. Okay? Okay. So after this one, can we have a zoom? Oh, mana ni ang resulta after when it sets. Okay? So it's crunchy. Okay, so that goes for the chiller. Very quick na siya mo set. Next to that, we will prepare for our assembly. So we have here the chocolate sponge. Itong bake na to earlier into a kuan, tawag ani, a tray. Then atong balihon. Okay? To release the sponge. Okay. Okay. Itong kuan gamay. James, ganang lang ito na kong 6-inch. Okay. Release it first. So again, atong gamiton ani is only a 6-inch na cut. Okay? Dayon, diha. Let's take out. Kani lang atong kinanglan. Kani. Okay? Okay, release the foil. Dayon, you will get the sponge nga medyo flat. So as you've seen, dili ka siya grabe og tubo, no? Di siya na ka-abrupt ang iyang pag-rise. And it's very dark, very moist. Perfect for a moist chocolate cake if you want to make at home. Okay? So kanira atong kinahanglan. This one we will set aside. Okay, now for the assembly. So let's focus our attention here in the page nga naa atong assembly. So what we'll need again, the crunch, the sponge, the ganache, and the creme brulee lined into, in this time, 7-inch nga mold. Bigger mold. You could use an 8-inch, you could use a 7-inch, pwede rin gihapon. Okay, so iimong arrange ang imong components into your table. You have the sponge, you have the crunch, and the brulee. Okay? So how many components do we have here? We already have at least 3. The 4th is the ganache. 5th is the mousse. 6th is the glaze. Okay? Okay, ato gyud po siyang pusto ng foil. Secure everything inside. Now I will need a cake turner and a spatula. Okay, here we go. Okay, taas-taasan eh. Okay, so the ganache will basically serve as a murag pandikit into your one more here, this one. Okay, so I want you to pay more attention to the assembly. Okay, para kasabot mo yun sa nato pagbuhat. Okay, so first we will put in the sponge. Okay, sponge. Next to that, we will pipe some ganache. So the ganache here has set already. Medyo workable na siya, no? Then ato siyang i-pipe into the Okay. Bigger hole siguro. Okay. Alright. Everything should be covered. Next to that is the crunch. Okay? So the crunch goes over here. Press. Para masikit yun siya. Then, next to that, we'll add another layer of chocolate ganache. Okay. So, you see now you have at least 1, 2, 3, 4 layers. So, next layer is atong creme brulee ng atong gi-bake. Pag human atong bake, atong gi-freeze. Dayon now it could be unmolded and put it as the next layer. Okay? Okay, I'll need some spatula. Itong initon gamay ang iyang surface para mo-release. Okay, while we're doing that, I'm gonna heat some ganache here. Okay, so I will release the creme brulee. See here, mas dali siya ma-release when you heat it up. Okay, so now this is the layering that you wish to have. You have the sponge, you have the ganache, you have the crunch, you have another ganache, and finally the creme brulee. Now this will go through the 7-inch na mold. Okay, ina na yung setup. Then we'll insert the cake board para dali siya ma-lift and move. So ato siyang i-place sa center. So the idea here is, if you don't imo siyang studyohan, the idea here is encapsulating the layers of different textures sulod sa mousse. Okay? So that's basically what we'll do next. We will create the mousse now. Since we have prepared already earlier yung mga components, then we're basically ready to create the mousse. So this is the ganache, a bit warm. Dili siya mo set, prega niya. Then you mix it here into your whipped cream. So it's very important ka naka-prepare na ka. So when you need your mousse already, diretso na ka. Okay, and fold lightly. So in the microwave, akong gilanay karon ang atong gelatin. So this mousse recipe could cover 2 cakes, 2 to 3 cakes, depending on the size. Okay. So next to that is our gelatin. So after you heat up gelatin, you pour it into the... It's really hot. Into the mousse mixture. Okay, then fold. Fold lightly until incorporated. So what you want to retain here is the softness of the mousse. Okay. Okay. So after that, a few minutes, ato nang i-drop to let it set for a little bit. May lang jud. Eri siya runny. Then after that, we will put it into our mold. Okay. So basically, how many textures have we created? We have at least 5 now. So the 6th is the chocolate glaze. I mean the chocolate chantilly which we'll put on top. Okay. Okay, so if none na siya body imong mousse, then you're ready to pour it into your mold. So here, we're encapsulating the different textures inside of the mousse. Okay? Give it a little tap para mo even. Then, you basically have now at least 5 textures inside this chocolate mousse. Okay, so what we'll do next basically is the glazing and some garnish. Okay, so this one goes in the freezer. Earlier, already made one nga naka-set na daan, naka-frozen na. So, mo na to atong i-glaze later. Okay. So, more spatulas. Okay, so next step is the glazing. So, we need the frozen mousse already that I've created earlier. Kinanglan to na to ang atong frozen nga mousse para ato na tong i-glaze karon. Then we will create the garnishes. So now we have a question. Here. I have problems with my ganache or piping. What is the remedy for this? So, kani akong gigamit karon, I have set this using ice bath. Okay? The ice bath. What do you mean by the ice bath? Katong bowl of ganache, imo siyang ituslob sa cold water. Imo siyang i-fold, hantod, makuha nimong certain texture. But again, it depends on the quality and the amount of chocolate you have in a ganache. Kung daghan ng chocolate, of course, it's much firmer. If you want to a filling, maybe 50-50 or 1:1 ang imuhang ratio. Kung gusto ka o gahi, mas taas ang ratio sa imuhang chocolate. So it depends on the amount of chocolate in your ganache. So to answer the question, ang imong problem is the pagpipe. It could be the amount of chocolate in your ganache and let it set, no? I-ice bath sa kadayot or you could rest it in a air-conditioned room nga makaset good. Ang iyahang texture is spreadable siya, okay? So thank you for your question. So now I have here katong mousse nga akong pa-frozen earlier. So what I'll do now is to glaze. So when you say glaze, katong giandam ganiha, this is the one. No, you use it at a temperature around 35 degrees Celsius. So how do you check? Pwede na mo gamitan ang candy thermometer, the laser thermometer. Yes, 35 degrees Celsius. Igo lang nga runny siya gamay. So here in this case, mo na atong cake. So katong iyang kuan, bugbutang tag film. Kung wala kay film, pwede ra to mo siya i-heat up ang sides, no? Inito nimo og torch, pwede mo nga og tubig, mo release ito siya by itself. In this case, mostly magamit ta og inani kaning plastic nga para sides sa atong mousse cake para maatong ma-secure ang cakes from the inside. But again, pwede ra gyud og wala. Okay, we have another question. What other flavors nga pwede i-mix atong creme brulee? The flavors are endless, no? Pwede, in this case, chocolate man eh. You can use vanilla. You could use powdered flavor. Any flavors, as long as you can use it in a powder or liquid, pwede mo na siya i-incorporate sa imuhang creme brulee. Again, walay limit. Okay, so here I have the chocolate glaze. So when you're glazing, I will show you the basic techniques of glazing. First, you need a rack to take all of the excess nga mga glaze. Okay? I will show you a technique here on how to put some colors or accent to your glaze. Since our glaze here, medyo na siya yung mga atong mousse here na yung mga gagmay nga mga ugaw sa kilid, ato siyang kuhaon. Okay? Na, tangon to. Make sure your glaze is hard frozen dyan. Okay? It's much better and easier to glaze kung gahi yun siya. Okay, smoothen it out. Smoothen this out. Okay. Kaya important kay ni siya para dili may mga sharp edges or na mga sharp parts sa imong mousse nga supposed to be walay apple sa imong preparation. Okay? So we'll transfer this one into the rack or the grill. There you go. Okay. So, what do you do next? So, supposing this glaze is around 35 degrees or kanang may thermometer medyo thick siya pero runny pagamay, okay? But not very hot because this is ice, this is cold, no? Kung imo siyang ibutang og init, of course, di siya mo set, di siya mo cover og tarong. Okay? So, what you'll do now is pour from the sides. Take a close look. Pour from the sides. So, unsa man kadugay sa mo set katong ibuhat ganiha at least overnight in a well running freezer. So, we'll glaze from the sides, make sure nga covered tanan. Running from the sides. Okay. See? Once it's covered, using a liquid nga coloring, any food coloring or liquid coloring, butangan na itong accent. Okay? It's gold accent. Then you swipe from the side. And because as you see here, as the glaze spreads, also the accent that we created spreads and creates an emotion. No? Pwede po wala sa inana, pwede po na inana depending on what depende sa inyong liking, no? Pero mostly inani na yung mga accent ng mga chocolate glazes. Okay? So you see, ang kabaguma na to og glaze, mo set dayon ang ato ang item. Okay? Can we have a close up? Okay. So this one goes to the chiller para makaset siya tarong. Okay? So while we're doing that, please, chiller. While we're doing that, we will prepare the sidings and the garnish. Okay? Na natay pila ka components, at least 6 na naka-components ang atong i-mix karon. What we'll do next is we will create the garnishes. Okay, so let me just have a little time to clean our surface. Okay, and I need a bowl and a whisk, please, for the mixer. Okay, are we on check? How much time do we have? Okay pa ta? Okay. So with a little bit of Mona Lisa or the whipping cream. So na ako nang nahatag ninyo ang kuan na ang brand. So free na gid advertisement ang kuan na ni. So okay, so we will whip till medium peak. Okay. Let's go. That's speed. Okay, so what we'll utilize now for the chantilly is the remaining na kuan. We will transfer the ganache into a separate piping bag. We'll use a piping bag also on piping tip to garnish into the chocolate mousse. So kaning atong whipping cream, ito lang gyud siyang stiff para kanang nindot siya texture. Okay. Now, release. Okay. So, kali nga texture atong kinahanglan. Okay. Take out excess. Dayon, we will fold in the chocolate ganache. It's in your, the chocolate glaze. Okay? Let's fold it in. Dayon, i-mix lang na to to make a chocolate chantilly. Fold. So this cream we will garnish into the rest of the mixtures. Okay, so see? Ano yung texture? Soft lang, di kasi na naka-wash lump, smooth and silky, and that's good. So, again, as I've told you, now it's the time for create some garnishes. So, we'll create a simple one, very quick, para akong mapakita ninyo most of the techniques to use with the chocolate. Okay? So, I've told you earlier about the temperature that you use for the chocolate. It is around 32 degrees working temperature, which is perfect for temperatures nga di ka init. Okay? So, if you want to microwave a little bit of chocolate, so there are two ways of melting the chocolate. You could use the bain-marie, atong water, over a pot, dayon i-mix, or using the microwave, pinakadali. Okay? So now, I'll be showing you very quick garnishes na nang magamit ninyo on a day-to-day basis sa inyong operation sa kitchen para dali ra jud. Okay, so after that, we will prepare the surface. Mostly, I use a granite table and spreading out some lard para pilit sa ako ang acetate or a plastic na itong gamiton. Nasa to itong plastic. Itong ipangkat. Okay. So, working with chocolates, kani very, very technical, no? So, usually, I use acetate sheets, clear roll plastic. You could use what you call this one? Itong gigamit na to ganiha for kuan. Can we turn off the aircon? Okay, it's too cold. When you work with chocolates, it's around 24 degrees lang Celsius to 26. Never too cold, never too hot. Okay, so inaning a plastic. This is where your chocolate releases. Mo release lang chocolate when it's set. Given that you have used it in the right temperature. Mora pud na, okay? Okay, so we have now the chocolate here. So you see, medyo thick siya. It means it's not hot, it's not cold, it's a bit runny. It's perfect nga texture to work with. Okay? So now, I will assemble some chocolate garnish nga easy lang. No? Some curls, so basically curls. Okay, I have a question here, or there's a concern basically. Okay, maglisod ko na siya working with chocolates. What is your advice? Always and almost, I always put it in mind when I work with chocolate, regardless if it's compound, regardless of if it's coverture, always use chocolate at the right temperature. Tempered chocolate, around 32 degrees Celsius na gid siya in terms of white chocolate, 29 white, 30 kung milk chocolate. That's the only advice I could give you, because this is, as I've said, this is a very tricky technique, tricky component of pastry. But the advice I could give you is always use the chocolate at the right temperature. Dili init, dili bugnaw. Okay? Sinani lang. Thick. So, now I will use a spatula to spread out chocolate. Okay? Spread it evenly with a spatula, depending on the size of the spatula that you have. Okay? Spread it evenly. Okay. Okay. So the chocolate sets with a cold temperature. As I've said, 24 to 26 degrees Celsius. Kung init imong room, it will never set, especially with the coverture. Kinanglan jud ka og sakto ani nga temperatures in terms of your room. So not all rooms are made for chocolates. So we'll trim. So when the chocolate is set, you can touch it, no? As you've seen, dali siya ni set, dali ra siya ni matte, no? Ni matte ang iyang surface. So now I could cut through the chocolate nga akong spread. Now it's time to form it, okay? So ganiya pag trim magamit mo kog sharper knife, a cutter this time. Dili kay hait nga knife para di siya mo go through cut sa plastic. Okay? So what I'll do is divide it in half. Then cut through. Divide it. Kani manual lang niya siya ko gi-cut. Wala na ko siya gi-ruler. So again, working with chocolate, ikaw rin magbuot. It's very sharp knife, ha? Cut. Okay. Kapinan ako ang lawom. Okay, medyo na-cut. Okay. After that, we'll create into curl. Kung mabantay mo, mapilo-pilo rin ang chocolate using a certain temperature, hindi mo rin siyang ma-fold. Look. Okay? Because we have used the chocolate at the right temperature. Okay? So, diha na siya. So, imagine, ako siyang ma-curl-curl, pwede mo ako siya maduwa-duwaan, nga pa siya magahi. No? But, ma-peel off na mo siya. Inana ka simple. See? Ma-peel off na mo siya. So, this one goes to the freezer. Hinailangan, be careful. Touch it. Hold it very well, please. So, we can show them unsay porma. Okay? So, working with chocolate is very messy. You should be very, very diligent in terms of cleaning your surface. No? And excess chocolate that's in your table, you could always reuse it. Okay? So basically, what's next? We have created the garnish, we've created the chantilly. Now we are to the final presentation of our item. So please bring out the chocolate mousse that we have glazed, please. And the other one, katong akong gibuhat daan ahead of time. So let's clean our surface a bit. How much time do we have? Do you have enough time? Okay, let's go. Okay. So the other one, please place all of the items here in the other table. So, okay, I will need a nice plate. For me to be able to showcase this one. So, this is the glaze. What I'll do now is to clear out the item and plate it. Okay? So, you can use any plate that you wish to have. Now, I'm using the excess cornflakes. No, I'm being what you call this? Gamiton ako mga items na lang sa akong palibot. I'm putting a little bit of gold dust into my cornflakes to create a little finesse and shake the cornflake. Now you have some golden cornflakes. Okay? Very, very versatile. So next, I'll take the cake out of the rack. Okay. You can now turn on the aircon. Turn on again. Okay, so you'll clean the bottom part, the edge just to make sure nga wala siya excess, you can lift it up. Okay? Okay. Can you bring in the other one? Can someone take this one out for me? Medyo book out man. Vince, take this one out, please. Okay. So very stable ang atong mousse, no? Wala naglanay. So again here, you see. Okay. So I'll garnish from the sides, scooping the golden cornflakes. Okay. Okay, then I'll put it into my plate. Same thing for the other one. The other one, kung walay chocolate, katong gold, mo na yung appearance, para at least na mo yung idea, no? Sa yung dagway. So wala na ko butangi. But still, we will put some golden flakes. Okay. Can you clean this one up for me? Impuhin niya, ibalik, palihog. Okay. Dayon. Same thing. Tanga na to. Okay. Then the board is here. No, I just need a gold one. Okay, so we will put the cake into here. So we are a bit consistent of the gold accent, so might as well go for it. Go for gold. So later I will show you unsay porma niya when I cut it from the inside. Okay. So I'll just finish this piece before I will show you later unsay porma atong mga desserts nga individual lang siya gigamit. For example, the creme brulee unsay porma, the chocolate sponge unsay unsaon paggamit. So I will show you later together with all of these items. So ato ning hawanan din para we have more space when we showcase, okay? So can someone take out the frozen chocolate garnish that I made and how to utilize it? Can you bring this one for me? So earlier, I've created some garnishes ahead of time para mapakita na ko ninyo the things that you can make with chocolate. This one is made out with chocolate, mga curls. Put it on this side. Okay, see? It's made of compound chocolate. Please. Okay, for this one, kato akong i-cut ganiha, nagi-curl na ko. Release. So it will release in the plastic as long as you use it in the right temperature, mo release na gina siya. Okay, so katong plastic matangtang ra na siya. Okay, there you go. So you see, you see the chocolate, it's shiny, wala siya puti-puti nga marks. Although it's compound only, it's a testament of how much we have placed a lot of emphasis on working with chocolate nga right temperature. Kung wala na to gamit at right temperature, magputi-puti siya, lahi ang dagway. Nya dali pud mabali. Okay? So, now, from my point of view, I will garnish the cake to my liking. No? Abstract lang. Depending on the garnishes that you have, is the expression of your cake. Okay? So, can we have a closer look here? So after this one, I will show you the rest of the final ingredient, final na ko nga products. Okay? Here. Is it okay to put all the items here? All good? Klaro ra sa camera? So what I'll do now is I'll pipe some chantilly onto the cakes. So in terms of the garnishes, nagbuhat ko ganiha og curls nga gagmay. I made some fan, no? Here, some fan, some sticks, very delicate sticks nga pwede na to ibutang-butang sa gasa. Huwag na noon. Okay? So I'll show you later. Mag-slice ko sa cake. You just have to heat up the chocolate, the knife, to cut it very well. Okay na ta sa kuan, chef, atong coral twill. Ako na, chef. Butan lang, ang pala pilihan. Okay ra. Butan lang din, chef. Sige ra. Okay, so now I will pipe some chantilly. Kanina nagatubang pa man ako, ha. So garnish lang ni siya kung asa rin mo gusto ibutang imong chantilly. So this is basically the 6th component of your dessert. Here, muna yung down. Kani doesn't much need of chantillies kay maguba. Masobrahan na ang imong chantilly. Maguba na ang gagwapa sa imong cake, masobrahan. Okay? Here. So we'll put more. So if you want to use a mousse by itself, maghimo kog mga piti nga mousse over here, shall line up in front. Okay ra, diha ibutan na kayo. Okay, so clear ra. Actually have some nice plates pero dire na lang mulotor man sa yang color. Okay? So using the mousse by itself, no? As I've told you, magamit mo ang mousse as a single dessert. So this is the mousse. I will cut through this cake as well later para makita mo sa sulod. And this one, this is an entremet. I haven't discussed you the entremet. It's a multi-layered cake. This is basically what we are creating here. Okay, so just randomly pipe. Okay. Okay, so also natay slices kung mao ni ang mousse, mao po ni ang atong chocolate sponge natong ibuhat ganiha. So ang tunga ani natay layer sa chocolate ganache, ang chantilly gihapon mo na yang porma. So mostly kani mga inani nga cakes are served in boutique cake shops, specialty cake shops. Most of my works are mostly inspired by mga French nga influences. Okay? So kung mag-iskot po ta sa creme brulee, naputa din eh. I will just garnish this one. So may kong creme brulee katong gingon ako ganiha, we need to torch. Makuha ra dire nga side. Okay? So makuha tag sugar. In this case, brown sugar. Atong spread ang sugar sa top. Okay? This is where the brulee happens. Okay? Next to that, where's the torch, please? Dayon. Then we will torch up until ma-caramelize ang imong sugar. Okay? You see? The flavor of the burn blends well together with the sweetness of the chocolate brulee. So the thicker the sugar, the harder the crack or the crystallized portion of the brulee. Okay? So on the side, I'll prepare some garnishes while that's cooling down. Mali ko sa tataran, chef. Okay. So I always want to mix up the garnishes with fruits para na siya natural nga color. So in this case, I have some mangoes and kiwi. So dices lang of kiwi and mango will do. Okay. Side, mango here. And cut some dices of mango. Then, we will use the same component, katong atong ganache nga atong gibuhat. We will create into a nice garnish, a nice support to your flavor sa imuhang chocolate brulee. Okay, fill it in. So again, katong atong ipangbuhat ganiha, you can make it into a separate dessert, individual dessert, no? Hindi necessary nga i-combine gyud nako sa tanan into what I made into an entremet. No need. You can serve it as it is, okay? Okay, so I will check if it's not too hot. Okay, it's bearable already. So pipe some ganache here. Okay, so next we will put some fruits. Wonderful. So the bowl of we'll have some fruits on our brulee to add more color. Okay. Here, randomly put. Okay. Random lang. Life is sometimes nice random. Okay. Go some kiwi. Dayon dili na to tabunan atong brulee nga part because we will show na brulee yun ni siya nga gitorch gyud na to atong creme brulee. Okay? After that, chocolate curls. Okay, I'll line up it here. Go. Okay, some garnish. Ito nang ibuhat. I made some garnish in advance. These are still curls. They